Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Loudness War. In the previous videos I covered a number of techniques which allow us to control the stereo white. However, those were all just tricks and workarounds. The actually best way to achieve the nice stereo image in a final mix is to take a material which already has a nice stereo white. So today I will cover the topics of Unison and voice layering. Alright, so Unison. It's a very common feature in modern synths, and most of you probably already use it. However, this little trick still has some pitfalls, depending on implementation. The simplest way to achieve Unison is just take a voice, detune it up or down, then just pan the resulting multiple voices from left to right, similar to chorus. However, this may lead to some imbalance between left and right channel, and I will show you that just in a minute. Alright, so I've got this little patch in Serum playing some arpeggiated lead. It already has 7 voices of Unison, but they are all in mono. So let's increase Unison wide. So yes, now it's a nice stereo. Let's examine the left and right channel separately. So left and right, they sound pretty much similar, but not identical. So we are actually at nice stereo image. But now, what if we try to further increase the difference between voices? Serum has this little nice warp feature, which assigns a different amounts of warp to voices. In my case, the warp modifier is FM modulation. Let's try it. Let's increase the warp amount. So yes, we're getting this nice FM modulation. But let's examine the left and right channel again. So left and right, completely different sound. The left is now significantly lower and the right is higher or brighter. Now imagine what would happen with a track like that if you play it on a single airbud, left or right. The mix would get ruined. The exact behavior depends on your synth of choice, but that's something to look out for. So check for this kind of issue from time to time. So far, all the techniques I demonstrated were based on similar approach, to take a single voice and then create multiple voices out of it. However, it's all artificial. The best and the most natural results can be achieved if you start with multiple voices to begin with. And multiple voices occur naturally in an orchestra or a choir, for instance. However, you can also create them on your own by recording the same phrase over and over again, and this is called multi-tracking. Check out this nice little contact ensemble, Dave Choir. So a guy called Dave recorded his own voice 16 times per every note and created his own choir. And it sounds pretty nice to me. For sure it's natural. However, it's also a lot of work. There are no shortcuts for multi-tracking. There are no magical single knob solutions that just create realistic voices out of nothing. There are no shortcuts here. If you want to achieve the best results possible, you need to take your time and record the stuff on your own. Multi-tracking is a commonplace for all kinds of singers and soul players. However, if you're not a keyboard player or guitar virtuoso or some such, I've still got some tips for you. You can just record the same notes over and over again, but apply different modulations to them every time. So I've got this old school glide in Massive X. The gliding lead is in mono, let's hear it. Very simple. It's now pan to center. Let's pan it left. Take another voice and pan it right. And then try both at once. It's still nothing special, as this should be same for both channels. But now let's try to play with some modulation in left and right channel. Now you can hear the difference in glide time at the start of every note. Or pulse width modulation. Or phase modulation. I adjusted this patch to be quite subtle, but hopefully you can still hear this little modulation between the left and right channel. I didn't want to overdo it, so the sounds are not getting completely different in left and right channel. It's still quite a simple example just for demonstration purposes. Now let's try some real-world production. Alright, so this is one of my latest projects coming to its end. It has this huge supersaw lead, it always needs to have. Let's hear it. This is one channel. This is the other. This is another playing same melody but in lower register. And this is playing highs. And all together. Or hear the full loop. And try this in mono. Does work for me. Okay, let's get back to it. And now try to take these two similar tracks and pan them hard left and right. We're not losing much since we have similar sonic content in both left and right channel. I'm actually surprised that we can just take it that far and not make a significant difference. But surely it now sounds wider. Let's hear the full loop. In mono. There is no difference if I play this left and right. But of course, there is one if I do the same in stereo. Hopefully you can hear that. So this kinda works, and that's just the way to go. Take two similar tracks, pan them left and right to achieve the maximum width. What we could do with synths, we can also do with samples. These are free samples picked probably from a Looperman's site some years ago, and they are completely unrelated. There's one in the center, our center of focus. There's one on the right, completely different, and there is one on the left. Now all together, they work very nicely as it has this strong hit in the middle, but also a nice stereo wide, because the samples in the right and left channel are completely independent and not related to each other. And that works in mono. We're not losing any quality here, and we are not losing volume. The reason why that works is that the samples are completely independent and not related to each other. Our brain cannot pick any pattern on or relation between them. So this sounds very natural and transparent. And one last word, what the correlation meter actually measures is the linear dependency between the channels. And since we already know that the samples are not dependent, they sound very wide, no matter what the meter actually reads. That's the best, most natural way to achieve nice stereo image. Just pick completely different sounds for the channels, make them match, and then pan them left and right. Also keep the one in the center to maintain this center of focus. These are my tips. Okay, that's all for today. I shared my tips on how to create wide stereo image while maintaining the mono compatibility. I think the topic is exhausted for now, but of course there are many other things to cover in future episodes. If you have any questions or topic requests, leave these questions in comments below, and of course hit like and subscribe.